Good day, my good people. Dolores Jones, your comeback coach, is here, honey. In effect, I have a wonderful, wonderful message for you. I really do. So, find a comfortable space and place. And if you're at work, put your headphones on because you want to hear this today. Ask for what you want and don't settle for what is available. Ooh, honey, I'm preaching to my own self. And I am Dolores Jones, your comeback coach. I am here to keep it real, to give you the truth and nothing but the truth. So help me God. Okay. All right. Give me some love. Show me that you're with me. All right. Let's do this thing together. Feel free to go ahead and become one of my Facebook followers as well as a subscriber to DeloresJonesTV. I know y'all talking because the numbers keep rising and rising. So what are we going to talk about? Ask for what you want. Don't settle for what's available. I have done this plenty of times. And if you're honest with yourself, you have done it too, honey. Okay. You know, you go buy a car and they don't really have the car you want, but because you're in a hurry, you decide, okay, well, give me that one over there. Now, the problem with that is in your mind, every time you look at that car, you're going to know I took this because they didn't have what I wanted. And when it comes to cars and car payments and insurance payments, listen, honey, you still got to pay whether you want it or not, whether you want to or not. So why would you settle? Yes. Why would you settle for something you don't want? I'll tell you why. Because sometimes that's all you think you can get. Isn't that something? The devil is a liar and the truth ain't in him. But y'all know that's what we do. One year I was trading in my convertible because I had a convertible and the paint job wasn't right. And so when I took it back to the dealership, they said, well, we don't have any more convertibles right now, not the kind you want, but we have this Jeep Commander. And I said, well, does the Jeep Commander have a sunroof in it? No, it doesn't, but it's in the price range. And I was so in a hurry. I accepted something I did not want because that is what was available. And every time I made that car payment, I dreaded making that car payment. Plus, I was out of alignment with what I said I was going to do. I said I would never have a car note that was higher than my house note. Well, because I was in a hurry, I didn't have patience, and I just felt like I had to have this. I mean, I could have kept driving the convertible until they got another one, but no, I had to drive off the lot with something. And so I found myself in a financial crunch, and it came between paying my house note or my car note. So of course I paid my house note, and then I had to give the Jeep back. So it caused me more of a problem had I just waited for what I knew would come around the corner or for what I knew I deserved and that I could have. And I want you to look at that and look at your life right now. A lot of people are settling into relationships because, well, we went to school together. And his mama know my mama and you have nothing in common. Absolutely nothing in common. Or you're arguing already. Well, everybody argues. That's not true. Some people learn to communicate effectively. Well, girl, you don't want to die single, do you? No. Well, you know Bobby really wants you. I know, girl, but I can't stand Bobby. Girl, you can learn to love him. Then you get with Bobby. You're never satisfied. So you're over there looking at Tommy and Tim and all of them. Because you're not satisfied, because you accepted something just because it was available. Now listen, if you're still doing that and you're older, now see, I have two husbands. That means they were my husband. And I know not to settle for what's available. Or to let somebody guilt trip me into something. Now, you know you shouldn't be fornicating, girl, because if you're going to fornicate, you might as well get married. You need to marry rather than burn. But you have other options. How about you don't have sex with that person? Okay? I'm telling you something, trying to help and bless you. I spent 7 years of my life. I was 23 when I got married the first time. Baby, I was gone by 30. I said, Lord, I'm trying to stay for 10 years so I can get Social Security. But honey, I couldn't do it. And that doesn't mean that I was a bad person. But when he put his hands on me the first time, I said, Jesus, I will stab a ninja. And that's what I told him. Okay. And so now I had to come out of a marriage after 7 years, you know, with the physical altercation. And then there was another physical altercation. And the good thing was I had a son out of it. Right. Okay. Right. So ask for what you want and don't settle for what's available. But here's the thing. Some of us don't know what we want. And it's okay. But you can't keep operating from a place of what you don't know, because you'll continue to get what you don't want. Because for one, you don't know how to recognize what it is you want. And here's one of the things. Become the person that you desire to have. If you want an honest person, you be an honest person. If you want a person who's making 6 figures, you make 6 figures. See, I always talk to men, and I was talking to one of my dear friends, and he said he was talking to this young woman, and she was saying what she wanted. And he got to have this, and that. And he was like, well, what you bringing to the table? Well, see, somebody done told her wrong. And once he finished, you know, he said, you got to bring more than some coochie and a blowjob. But, you know, he said the words. I said, oh, why did you say that to her? He said, because it's true. Because there are people who believe all you got to do is, you know, drop it like it's hot, bring it back up, twerk it, work it, have a WAP, and that's going to be it, baby. You will be sadly mistaken. And if you don't know what a WAP is, you need to research Cardi B and Megan the Stallion, whatever. Okay? Dolores Jones is my name. I'm just giving it to you the way I got it. You're welcome, darling. She said, great message for the new year or any day. Amen. Amen. I'll make it rain up in here, but I got to find some money. Dolores Jones is my name. Comeback coach. I help you bounce back better, not bitter, through life experiences and bad decisions. It really is a bad decision to continue to accept things just because they're available. All right, well, just give me the blue one. And then here's the thing. You're not going to celebrate it because you took it reluctantly. Reluctantly. You said, I know I shouldn't marry this person. Baby, I did it. I was like, but you know what? I like him. And God gave me 3 warnings. First, my colleagues from graduate school. I brought them over. We had dinner at my house. And Paulette said, nope. And I was like, well, Paulette. She said, nope, D. Leilani said, well, I'm just thinking about it. So, you know, you got 2 voices of reason. And so, honey, they left and he was there. He came up behind me, Trinita, while I was washing the dishes. I said, oh, my God. And he just got up on a sister. Woo! And I was like, this is what I want. But it wasn't what I needed. Come on. So I had made up my mind. I'm going to marry this booger. He's tall, dark, and handsome. He got an earring and he's bald-headed. But he was still some kind of, all right. So then he went to a family function with me. And my beautiful praying Aunt Nancy pulled me to the side at the family function. And she said, Dee Dee. And I said, yes, ma'am. She said, you really like that guy, don't you? I said, I really do. And she says, well, God says he's not your husband. I was like, I questioned my elder. I challenged an elder that was always on point. I'm not talking about the ones who don't have good sense and they just telling you anything. But she was always on point. And I was upset. And I told her daughter, I said, let me tell you what your mama said. And then my cousin, she's like, well, you know, mom always means well. So I was still hard-headed. So that was number 2. Number 3, by this time, you know, I found out he was still married. He didn't tell me. And because we had already done the do and I had said I loved him, I was going to make this work. And that's the problem right there. I'm like, get it together. Get it together. So I went ahead and we designed the prettiest wedding invitations ever. Y'all know, ladies, it has to be wonderful. I mean, it was handmade. It was beautiful. We had a picture of ourselves. And the program, oh my God, the program was great, but it still didn't make it right. So I was at church giving out the invitations to the people who I didn't have their addresses. And this one married couple who taught the relationship class, I went and gave the husband. I said, here's a wedding invitation. He says, who's getting married? I said, I'm getting married. He said, I won't be able to accept that because I can't witness that because God told you no. I was like, what? Stop playing. And he was serious. And his wife said, you heard what he said. I was like, ain't this something? So I went ahead and did it anyway. And in less than a year, I was up out of there. Why? Because I was hard-headed. And I was embarrassed. Someone told me, well, Delores, I don't want to leave because I don't want to be embarrassed again. I said, do you want to be alive? Would you rather be in bondage or embarrassed? See, you can get over embarrassment. Bondage will kill you. But I'm just make better choices. And the only way you can make better choices, you need better information. And some people say that knowledge is power. Well, knowledge is power only if you use it. You open up a book and you get all that good information and you don't apply it and implement it. It's just a whole bunch of information you have in your head and a book that's laying on your bed. I felt it in my spirit. Ask for what you want. Don't settle for what's available. And sometimes it's going to be uncomfortable because this is why change is so uncomfortable. Change basically means you're going to choose to do something different than you did the day before. And sometimes we live in a world of instant gratification. So if I can't get it instantly, then baby, I'm not going to wait for that. When I stood in court after he sucker punched me in my mouth and I went to the hospital, the one I was told not to marry 3 times, all I could do was stand there. And then sometimes you're like, well, I got to make it work. So I went and got back in bed with him, Michelle, Tiffany. And my good sense came back because sometimes we turn off our intelligence and we're trying to impress people who could care less. They just want something to talk about. Girl, I knew it wasn't going to work. Well, I had hoped it worked, but I think he really loves her. And they have no clue. Honey, after I left the house, after putting it on him, they say, It was like, Delores Jones. I'm like, yeah, who's the fool? Are you the fool? And I'm driving back to my place. You mean to tell me that you are so desperate that you will crawl back under a man and let him get back on top of you? How did he die? On top of me? You're going to let him get back on top of you after he disfigured you? You got to be kidding me. You're the one with the master's degree, Delores. You're the one teaching other women about the power and control wheel. And right now, you being pretty dumb. This is stupid. Stupid is and stupid does. I said, Lord, please give me control over my vagina because I am doing something really stupid right now. And it wouldn't be wise for you. It would not be wise for you to accept something because it's available. Everybody else is getting married. Okay. Everybody else is having a baby. Okay. Well, do you want to deal with all of the responsibility that comes with being married and having a baby? Because we only put what we want you to see on social media. I need you to understand that. Nobody says, well, let me just put when I broke down on social media. Oh, no. I got to show it with the filters, honey. I got to show that we're happy and we're cheesing and life is grand. And behind closed doors, all hell is breaking loose. Can we be real today? Yes, I still practice social work, honey. I do a lot of things now. Coaching. One day we were watching the news, right? And we knew this family. And the lady had just posted pictures of her and her family. And they looked so good together. And in less than a few days, the man had killed her and killed himself. They say, believe half of what you hear and none of what you believe, half of what you see and none of what you hear. Yes, Beverly, these are facts. The facts of life. Honey, the fact of life is when you really are serious about your own happiness and your freedom, it becomes non-negotiable. It is. We are not going to negotiate about that. We're not going to do it. You be like, I see the red flag right there. I got to let it go. It's another TKO. And then sometimes you settle for what's available because you don't think you're good enough to have anything different. You know, your mom said, ain't nobody going to want you. Ain't nobody going to want you. You're just like your crazy grandma. And because it's a person of authority, you never challenge it. But let me tell you something. People of authority don't necessarily give you the truth. And see, you're not a kid anymore. See, when you were a child, you had to accept stuff like that. But when you was a child, you spoke as a child and you did things in a childish way. But you are an adult. You got to think for yourself and be willing to accept the consequences. See, it's so much easier if somebody else tells me something to do. Because then I can say, I can blame it on her. I can, because she told me to do it. But when I made the decision and it doesn't turn out the way I thought it should have turned out, now we got a problem. Why? Because we don't like to take responsibility for things that don't work out. But we have to. I never wanted to be wrong. I never did. Because sometimes when you grow up in a place of a lot of criticism, you're like, dang, could I do anything right? Yeah, you can do something right. Right now, you can take responsibility and learn from it and don't do it again. How about that one? Sounds about right to me. What about you? Okay. Ask for what you want. Put yourself in a position to get it. Now, listen. That means certain relationships you're just going to have to walk away from. Since I am planning to be one of the 6-figure people, then now I must hang with the 7 figures, the millionaires. Now, here's the challenge. Because I'm so accustomed to being the smart one, it's uncomfortable to be in a place where I don't know anything. It's like a learning curve. And then it's hard to admit when I have to watch it over and over again. It's like, Lord, what's wrong with me? This just hasn't been your element. Well, why does everybody else get it faster? It's because they get it faster. Well, what's wrong with me? There's nothing wrong with you. It just may take you a little longer. But when you get it, you got it. Some people aren't cut out for being in a classroom. They're handy with their hands. Now, if you tell me to become a carpenter, baby, you be waiting till Jesus come for your house, okay? And your carpet. And it would be excruciating for me to be a carpenter. Why? Because that is not part of my natural ability. And I have not studied that to change my aptitude. I just like, honey, better call Mako. Dolores Jones is my name. Comeback coach. I want to see you bounce back better, not bitter, from life experiences and bad decisions. The only way that you can do this is to stop settling for what is available. Be willing and patient enough. See, here's the part. This is why it's so hard to be patient. This is my take on it. Because we don't live. Ask yourself, do I have a passport? There is a whole new world out there. The world is huge. But if you're just living in this microcosm of St. Louis or Kansas or Texas or Atlanta, then this is your world. But the world is huge. And so you're like, I ain't got nothing better to do. Of course you don't, because you are not living. Get your tail a passport. I have one. I got one last year for my birthday. I was like, you know what? This is my Christmas present. And it was all of $140, if that. Yes. Birth certificate, social security card, $100, maybe $120, $130. And now you have a passport where you can go see the entire world. And the money you buy with spending all them clothes and stuff that you don't wear could be money you're putting in the bank or, in your jar. And you look up and you could get a ticket around the world. But we spend too much time trying to change people and mold them into whom we want them to be versus accepting them from who they are. And if it doesn't work, it just doesn't work. You may not be good for me, but you may be perfect for the other person. But now I'm in the way because I'm afraid to be alone. Like when I was with my husband, we done had this fight, hospital, police, but still there on Sunday, praising the Lord. And it dawned on me. I said, Dolores, you were in the wrong relationship. And here's the thing. If you don't get out of the way, the woman that is his wife, she can't get here. And so I said this to him. I said, you know what? I got to go because I'm not your wife. Yes, you are, Dolores. You just don't want to be. No, I'm not her. And I said, and if I don't leave, she can't get here because then you sneaking and dodging and all that. And, he'd already start sneaking anyway. And I just moved on. And guess what? He got married. They had more children and they are doing wonderfully well. They're doing wonderfully well. What did somebody say? I saw this thing on my Facebook and it said, as long as you are entertaining something that God told you not to, you will not have what God said you could have. It's like the girl getting to heaven. She dies and she gets up there. She's like, oh, Lord, I just really had a rough life. And then I just decided to live this way. Is that what you have for me? He said, no, that's what you settled for. See, you settle for stuff when you know it goes against the core and the essence of who you are. When you limit yourself, you must free yourself from your limitations. Now, I'm not telling you something that I haven't heard. Telling you something what I've lived. And let's just be honest. I looked around at my life the other day and I didn't have anybody to blame but myself. I didn't. I said, Dolores, now you chose to do that. Now this is the consequence. Wow. You settled, so therefore this is what your life looks like. But if you get back up and you make a different decision, you choose again, but choose wisely. There is no reason why you shouldn't be a millionaire. How many times do people have to ask you that? How many people have to come up to you and say, you need to be on TV? How many times do you need to hear another prophecy that you already know that God gave you? And can I be honest with y'all? I had to sit there and reflect. Actually, a couple of days ago. Hello, Janelle. I said, God, why am I sitting here? I don't have to be broke. I don't have to be sad. I don't have to be struggling. I mean, I have everything I need and then some. What's the problem? Because Dolores, really deep down in your core and your heart of hearts, you really don't believe you're worthy. I had to accept that. In my heart of hearts, you really don't believe it. Because if you believed it, you would do something about it. And so you all, this is a time to reflect. And I have to say, it's been uncomfortable. It's been uncomfortable sitting with myself and reflecting on the things I've settled for because I refuse to stand up and be whom God has made me. It's been difficult to look on social media and see some of my friends that started out with me and they told me what to do. I just didn't do it. And now they're moved on. 10 years down the line, millionaires, family, TV shows. But he told you to do the same thing. You had the same thing. Dolores, your story is amazing. You stood there with Oprah. Oprah even told you that you have an incredible story. You left that day from Chicago with a book deal. You got back to Kansas and you became afraid. Why? Because sometimes we allow other people to hold us to our limitations. Why? Because they will only see you the way they choose to see you. See, somebody sees you as old drunk Jerry that's down there on the corner. But Jerry, you really are an entrepreneur and you can take everything that you have and you can mold it into something incredible. Like the young guy who was in the penitentiary. He couldn't read. And one of the OGs said to him, young man, what's going on? He said, well, the OG who wasn't coming out saw it on him. And so the guy who couldn't read, he asked his cellmate to read for him. And he started reading about stocks and bonds because the OG told him about it. Next thing you know, eventually he learns to read. Then he starts reading. Now he starts taking the stocks and bond thing seriously. And when he comes out, he's prepared. What did he do? He came out and started a business teaching other people, prisoners who were coming out, people who were poor, how to work the stock market. Another man who was with the white collars, he went to prison. He came out and he said, you know what? other white collar people ain't going to make it in prison. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to offer training. I'm going to coach them because I know they got to do their time. But I need to help them prepare mentally for them to go in and do their time. See, even that was an opportunity. You don't have to be flipping burgers. You're flipping burgers because that's what you choose to do. But Dolores, you don't understand. I don't need to understand your path. I got to understand mine. Dolores, you're on food stamps because why? Because you were too afraid. And you say you trust God and you believe God. But when it comes time to walking it out, you stop and you settle. But in 2021, heck, today is what's today? The 30th of December? You can do something different just today to start yourself. I'm going to wait till the new year. Why you got to wait? Why don't you get it now? Get it now. No opportunity wasted. We'll come back for part 2. I got to go. Ask for what you want. The word says, ask and it will be given. Seek and ye shall find. Knock and the door will be open unto you. You ask for it. Did you start looking for it? No, you settle. You can either seek it out or you can settle. And then you get to knock. Some of us are living life by default. Well, if God wanted me to have it, he would bring it to me. Well, that ain't how God works. He says, I set before you the power of life and death. Choose life. Well, if the government would just increase that stimulus check to $2,000, I could at least pay my rent for this month. Why not get your butt in a first-time home buyers program so you can use that $2,000 to buy yourself a house? Your house note is a lot cheaper than your house note is so much cheaper than paying rent and making somebody else rich. I ain't got time for that. Exactly. That's why you sitting there where you are, because you keep making excuses, and excuses are monuments of nothingness. Or as my friend Jack A. Daniel says, excuses are sophisticated lies that we tell ourselves and we try to sell to somebody else. Dolores, get up off your sass. You're only living like that because you refuse to be great. How dare you? How dare you? How dare you do that? Join me. We're going to ask for what we want. We're going to position ourselves to get it. And we're going to stand flat-footed. It's better to go without it than to settle for something that you don't appreciate. Let me tell you that again. It's better to go without it than to settle for something that you don't appreciate. You're going to save yourself a lot of heartache in the long run. Trust me on that. 50 years young right now. You could not pay me to just stay in a relationship and settle just because I want a man. How do you know you're ready for a relationship when you don't need one? And how can you be happy in a relationship when you become completely who you are supposed to be? See, a man can't make me happy in areas that I'm supposed to work on. And I have to own that. Own it for yourself. Share the video. Can you like and share the video, please? Like and share the video. Own it. Own your stuff. Your behavior is a demonstration of what you believe about who you really are. I'm going to say that again. I loved Yana. She said, your behavior is a demonstration of what you believe about who you are and what you can have. Your mouth says, this is what I want. Your behavior says, this is what I expect. You expect to get a job. You get your tail up. You get in the shower. You don't have halitosis. You put on your best dress. I don't care if it's one dress. One time I had one red suit. I love this suit. I felt like $1 million every time I put this one suit on. It didn't matter that I was living in a hotel at one point. That suit right there for me said confidence. They said, Dolores, you're supposed to wear a blue suit and a black suit. I said, I'm wearing a red suit. And what happened? I was standing out. Confidence speaks so much louder than your college degree. It speaks so much louder than who you know. Confidence. You say you want motivation. Well, listen, you got to have information before you get motivated. You got to have information. It's like the guy who had a stuttering problem, right? And he kept going to the radio station, applying for a job as a disc jockey. Okay, he had confidence. But he had to deal with a stuttering problem. But instead of dealing with a stuttering problem, somebody said to him, what happened? Did you get the job? He said, no. He said, why? He said, because I was black. No, sir. It wasn't because you were black. You got to fine tune your ability to speak. James Earl Jones did it. Did you know he has a stuttering problem? Of course not, because he mastered it. And one of the ways he masters not stuttering is he memorizes his scripts. Listen, whatever you're facing, there's somebody out there that has already faced it or they're going to face it. There are some people who have succumbed to it. That means they just let their dream die. And then there's some who have overcome it. Now you get to decide where you want to focus. You're going to settle for this little life on a hill, waiting for a stimulus check that could or could not come, waiting for people who are rich in the White House, sitting there trying to give you $600. It is an embarrassment. It is an embarrassment. Mitch Monaco going to decide he ain't. Child, I ain't got time to wait for Mitch. Okay, I ain't got time to wait for Mitch or Trump or anybody else. I'm going to use the good sense that God gave me. Common sense is common, but it's not common practice. You better get your butt up right now. Square your shoulders back and get busy. I'm going to see you on the other side shortly, okay? Dolores Jones, go ahead and hit that subscription button here on YouTube, DeloresJonesTV. Hey, Facebook, I love you. Instagram, My Comeback Coach is my handle. And go handle your business. And we'll get back a little later. All right? Mwah.